So, hello, it is me. Welcome to the Little Likac podcast. It is Sunday the 16th of July. I have not been around for a couple of months. I'm going to show now a podcast that I filmed about 6 weeks ago that I have just not had time to edit and put up. The beginning of the podcast, I think I explain why that is. Bear with me though, I hopefully will film another podcast in the next, probably about 2 weeks time, which will be much more up to date. So for now, have a look at my 6 week out of date podcast and you'll see lots of things that I was working on and started. And then in a couple of weeks time, you will see a more up to date one. So thank you for all your messages. I am fine, just really, really busy, snowed under with exam marking, the Advent launch, which has gone really, really well. Amazing. Thank you for everybody who has ordered that so far. And yeah, it's just been a really, really busy 6 weeks, but love you all. And I'll see you again properly in a couple of weeks. Bye for now. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Little Likac podcast. My name is Amanda and I'm coming to you from Derby in the UK. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit of a grumpy Amanda today. And I'm sorry about that because it's not your fault that I'm grumpy. I don't think it's anybody's fault. I'm just feeling grumpy. It is Sunday the 4th of June. It's a beautiful day out there. I'm really, really busy. And I've been waiting to podcast and somebody was mowing their lawn. And it's not their fault that they were mowing their lawn. You know, it's a nice day. It's a Sunday morning. It's probably a good time to mow the lawn. But I started recording the podcast and all you could hear, annoyingly in the background, was a constant bzzz of a lawnmower going. And I'm on a tight schedule because, as I said to you last time, it is exam marking season and that is what I am working on. So I've already done a couple of hours work this morning. I've got probably a lot of hours work to do later today and I go back to school tomorrow and I'm just feeling grumpy. So I'm sorry, I don't want to spread grumpiness. Knitting podcast shouldn't be about spreading grumpiness. I'm actually hoping once I start talking about knitting, I will cheer up. So yeah, do you ever feel like that sometimes though? You just feel grumpy and there isn't really any proper reason to feel grumpy, you just feel grumpy. Grumpy Amanda. Right, anyway. So this is a knitting podcast, not a grumpy podcast. Sometimes a bit of crochet as well, but it's all knitting today. I am going to keep it quite short actually because, as I said, I have got quite a few things to do. I have got some finished objects to show you though. New cast on. I've started a gauge swatch. Yes, a swatch. I know. What is that? You hear, I say Amanda swatching. Yeah, I have started a swatch. Got new purchases to show you. Yeah, so, but I will try and keep it relatively quick, maybe about 30 minutes. That will also mean it will be quicker to edit this evening and get loaded up. But yeah, okay, on with the show. Very quickly, my t-shirt that I'm wearing is my Yarnivore t-shirt that I bought at Yarndale, I think last autumn, and it's from Stitches Tees, and she does lots of really nice t-shirts for knitters in particular. So yeah, she has one that says knitter across it, but I like this one, Yarnivore. Alright, finished objects. It's a pair of socks. Ta-da! It is my Strictly socks that I started in September of last year when Strictly Come Dancing 2022 started. But I fell out of love with Strictly Come Dancing last year. I didn't actually even finish watching the series just because I didn't really particularly get connected to any of the celebrities last year. So yeah, and I fell out of love with my Strictly socks. If you've watched the podcast before, you might have heard me moaning about the pattern. It is a really pretty pattern, don't get me wrong. It's a pretty pattern, but I was annoyed because the pattern actually isn't written correctly and therefore basically the picture, the written pattern doesn't match with the picture on the side. So I'm not advertising what pattern this is, and I kind of had to fudge it to make it work. but it is a very pretty pattern. This yarn that I'm using is the Little Likac Strictly Sock, no, Strictly Sparkle, and it's on the it's on the Sparkle Sock base, which has 10% stellina in it, so you can see it's shiny. And this colourway is the Strictly Sparkle. There are a few of those in the Etsy shop. And I am very pleased with the socks, to be fair. So that's one less thing to be grumpy about. They are really pretty. So yes, those are finished, enough of the needles. The housemate socks I don't think I've worked on since you saw those 2 weeks ago. I can't remember exactly where I got to, but I've pretty much finished the toe on the first one, but I've not brought that down to show you. The second finished object, excuse me, this was probably a start and finish since I last saw you, and it was a baby knit. This very, very cute little dress. So I have used the Stylecraft Bambino prints that it actually calls for, but I've done it in 2 colours. Ta-da! Here it is. So it is a little dress with a frill. So you can see I did the rib in this vintage pink colour. I did the straps in that colour, the frill at the top, the pockets with the frill. These little buttons, aren't these buttons adorable? So this is all in Bambino Stylecraft, or Stylecraft Bambino. I've got it's knitted in 2 pieces, but the stripes match pretty well. So this is for somebody at work who is having a little girl, and I will be giving that to them this week. The pattern number is 9504, and as I say, it's Stylecraft Bambino. So it's 100% acrylic. It should be able to be thrown into the washing machine. Let me just double check. Yeah, it can go in the washing machine, it can go in the tumble dryer. It's 100% acrylic, so perfectly appropriate and suitable for a baby who may make a lot of mess on it, and also from the mum's point of view, not having to worry about hand washing anything. That can just go in the washing machine with all their other baby items. The most complicated bit on that, the frill wasn't complicated. The complicated bit was actually because I wanted to do the rib going along the sides of the pinafore bit in the solid colour as well, so I had to use a bit of like an intarsia technique to do that. Excuse me, I've got an itchy ear. So yeah, I had to use intarsia technique so that I could do the rib either side of the front panel in the solid colour. But I think it's really cute. I think the buttons are adorable. I am hoping the mum will love it. Okay, so 2 finished objects. What should I tell you about next? Cast on. So, because whips, I don't really think, if I have worked on my whips, I've only done a very small amount. So the housemate sock, can't remember where I got to last time, but not enough to show you. The floozy cardigan is ready to split for sleeves, but I did say to you that I had a couple of other tops that I wanted to knit before I go on holiday. So one of those is what I've started the gauge swatch for. I'll show you that one first, because to be fair, I started that first. Although I haven't got the pattern down here, I'll try and put it up here. It's the Bloom Lace Weight top. That's from the Knitter magazine from a couple of years ago, and I am using this yarn that I caked up a little while ago because I was going to do something else with it, and it is Scrumptious Lace by Fibre Spates, and I've got 2 skeins of it. It's beautiful bluey grey colour. The colourway is called Water, and it's 45% silk, 55% merino. And I had caked this up because I was going to knit something else with it, and I thought I really need to do a gauge swatch on this because lace weight is not a yarn that I use very often, and on the label it gives a tension of anything between 25 and 30 stitches. So I thought, right, I need to make sure that this is going to come out at the right gauge. So I started a little gauge swatch on my Chowgu needles, 3 mil. Started that. That's all I did of it, and I was like, gosh, these stitches are tiny. It's going to take quite a long time to do a top in this. Am I going to get this done in time before I go on holiday in August? So then I decided, I'd got 2 tops that I wanted to do. I decided to do the other one first because it's a DK weight. I thought I'd get that one done because I know I can get that done before I go on holiday. And then it's going to take a while to even swatch for this. So I don't know if this will get done in time for holiday, but I would like to get it cast on properly. So I cast on the DK weight one because I knew that I'd be able to get that knitted more quickly, and then I would definitely have at least one top for my holiday in August. So this pattern that I'm going to show you is from a magazine from 2009, and I can remember 14 years ago, 2009, really liking this top right from the word go, and just never having the right cotton for it, because it's made in cotton yarn, or there's been a few times when I've wanted to make it and I'd lost the pattern. I'd taken the pattern out of the magazine and I'd lost it, and for some reason whenever I had the right kind of yarn for it, I couldn't find the pattern, or if I'd got the pattern I didn't have the right yarn. But the stars have finally aligned. So this is the pattern, and it's a really, really simple pattern. There's no shaping at all, and it's just front and back sewn together. Then you do pick up the edges to do a little picot bind off around the bottom, the hem and the neckline and the sleeves. It is a pattern by Pat Mancini, who I've definitely knitted some of her things before. She's a designer that I've seen in a lot of magazines. I don't know if maybe she's designed for Rowan as well, I'm not sure. But it's a pattern by Pat Mancini, and I have liked this pattern for a long time. I'm going to say it's not terribly size inclusive. It is from 2009, I think. Maybe it's from which magazine? Simply Knitting. I think probably Simply Knitting gives bigger sizes than it does these days. I'm knitting the second to largest size, which is only a 40-inch bust, so I am hoping it will actually fit me, because I'm maybe a bit bigger than that. But and I'm knitting it in Serdar Cotton DK in this beautiful purple. It is shade 0512, which I think is something like black cherry. Doesn't say it on here, but I think when I put it into Ravelry it came up as black cherry. Now I have made a bit of a mistake, which I had to pull down, well, I didn't pull back. I kind of I went tinked. No, I didn't tink either. I dropped the stitches down 5 or 6 rows to fix the mistake, and I'm not sure if I've got away with it. So I've decided this is going to be the back, not the front, and I'm hoping after blocking it will block out the loose stitches. If not, I might have to run a thread through and try and fix it. See if you can see the mistake. So, but I've got all this done in the space of about a week, and as I say, it is really simple pattern, really simple pattern. So this has been quite good when I've been tired in the evenings, or when I've been, I don't know, doing other things basically, because it's a very, very simple pattern. And I think you've got to get to 14 inches before you do something for the sleeves, and I think I'm at about 12 inches already. So I think I'm halfway through the front, well, the back. So I think I'm 25% of the way through this whole pattern. Now that's where I went wrong. And you can see it's all a bit loosey-goosey around there. So I'm hoping once it's blocked you won't really be able to see it, and if I have it on the, if that's at the back, it won't be too noticeable. So yeah, it's there. So If not, what I can do and will do is put some cotton up in that bit and pull it through and tighten it. I know what I mean. So I might have to fix that. But I'll see where it sits, because if it's really not noticeable when I'm wearing it, so I'm not going to decide on what to do with that until after I've blocked it and even tried it on. But oh, I love the colour. I've got 5 balls of the yarn, and in theory it will only take 4. Now, as I say, I think I'm about 25% of the way through, and I have just started the second ball. So I'm glad I've got a spare one. I think my tension is coming out a little bit loose, but as I said to you, I'm not 100% sure whether it's going to fit, so having it slightly bigger is probably not a bad thing. And I knew I'd got some spare yarn, so anyway, isn't it a gorgeous colour? Just my favourite colour, purple. And it's going to be a really simple pattern, really simple little tunic top, t-shirty top, that I'm hoping I will get to wear when we go on holiday in August. So put that back in there. So that's cast on. Hopefully I'll podcast again in a couple of weeks' time. Be interesting to see how much of that I've got done by then. Because I have got another baby item to knit, and that needs knitting by the end of the month as well, by the end of June, so that's got to take priority too. So I think those will be the 2 things that I work on the most. The housemate socks, they're not going to be gifted now to the housemates until September, so I feel like I can take a little bit of a break from them. So what else is there to show you? Well, since I saw you last 2 weeks ago, last weekend I was in Manchester, and there is a shop in Manchester called Abercarn. I think about the name of it. Been there before, went there last October, November time, and they are part of the Great British Yarn Crawl, so I popped in there and got my card stamped from there, and bought some things as well. So I'll show you the project bag that I bought first. When I was paying for the wool that I bought, I saw this hanging up. Now, those of you that know me well, I am an English teacher, particularly English literature is my favourite. I prefer English literature to language, and when I saw this, to knit or not to knit, what a silly question. I loved it. Obviously it is a pun on the famous soliloquy from Hamlet, to be or not to be, and I just thought that is very me, and then the colour of the yarn ball even, pinky purple, perfect. So I was like, I'm having that. They had a smaller one, and they told me the cost of the smaller one was about £4, and then I saw the big one, and I said, oh, how much is the big one? It was only maybe £5.99, but I thought that was a really good buy. So absolutely love that. What's inside it? Wool, and it is wool, and also it is purple wool. Well, there's a surprise. And it is King Cole Wildwood Chunky, which is a recycled wool, and it is 100% recycled wool. It's chunky, 100 grams, 200 yards, and the shade is 5025 Heather. And I have in my head to do a either a short sleeved jumper sweater or a vest top, tank top type, maybe cabled. Now it says it's chunky. It doesn't look particularly chunky to me, so it'll be interesting when I swatch it. Yes, I know, talking about swatching again, because again, chunky is not a yarn that I use very often. It is hand wash only, so I'm guessing it's not superwash, and it says it's 14 stitches on 6mm needles, so it just doesn't look very thick. It's a little bit more rustic than some yarns that I use, but it's not bad, and I suspect once it's washed and blocked and whatever. But yeah, so it's really, really pretty colour, pinky purple, and yeah, I want to knit something for the autumn for that. So I got 7 balls because that's all they had on the shelf. I would have maybe picked up 8 otherwise, but I think I should, well, I'm certain I'll be able to get a vest top out of it, maybe even something with sort of capped sleeves. So that's my purchase. I I also went up to Nibbles, Needles and Hooks and saw the lovely Liz up there, and that was my final stamp for the yarn crawl as well. I didn't buy anything yarn related, but I had a gorgeous slice of cake and cup of fruit tea, and got chatting to some other knitters. Oh my goodness, so her shop is in Lower Pilsley in Derbyshire, which is near a little town called Claycross, not that far from Chesterfield, that sort of area. And I walked in, it was Bank Holiday Monday, and I expected it to be quiet. I don't know why, I don't know, I expected there maybe to be a couple of people. I walked in and every table in her little cafe area had somebody sat at it, and everybody was knitting and chatting. And I said to Liz when I walked in, I went, "Oh, are you having a knit and natter?" She went, no, this is just how it is when we're open. This is how." I was like, oh my goodness. So it's almost like you could go there and have a knit and natter whenever you go. She was so yeah, I sat at a table, and then 2 other people came in, sat with me, got chatting to them. Then I got talking to another lady who follows Roro and Kate and watches her podcast, and it was just really lovely. And and then somebody else who was there, turns out lives in the same area of Derby as I do, because she was talking about which road she'd driven up to get to it. And I said, "Oh, where do you live?" And not only does she live in Derby, but she lives like the same area as Derby as me. So yeah, just really, really lovely to I feel like that is a place I could go at any point and guarantee that I'll be able to sit and knit and talk to other knitters. So yeah, Nibbles, Needles and Hooks. And she'd got some magazines lying around. I picked one up, and I've not brought that down with me, the Knitter magazine, and she let me have that one for free, so thank you very much, Liz. And yeah, the cake was amazing. Didn't buy anything because I'm trying at the moment now to go I need to use up a bit more before I buy any more. I'm not doing a no buy in 2023 because that just doesn't suit me, and as you can see, I've been buying things, but I feel like I have bought more than I've used recently, so I need to use up some stuff before I buy anything, unless it's for something specific, of course. But yeah, so I didn't buy anything yarn related, but did really enjoy my cake and tea, and really enjoyed the chat that I had with the other knitters up there. That was lovely. Right, well, to be honest, I said I was going to keep this short. It is going to be super short because it's only 20 minutes. Just a couple of other things to comment on. Last podcast, I asked for some recommendations of one skein shawls that I could crochet using 400 metres, 100 grams of 4-ply yarn. Now, some of you have sent me some suggestions, which has been brilliant, and I have been saving some of those. One person had said, you know, I can just look on Ravelry and put in the advanced search, and I know I can, and I have done that. But what I really wanted was maybe some personal recommendations, or recommendations for ones that, or if you have a look, ones that you particularly like. I mean, I've already had a look. Problem is, though, sometimes on the Ravelry ones, they say that you can use 100 grams, but they look quite big, and then when you click on them, the pictures of the bigger shawls is where somebody's actually used more than 100 grams. So yeah, really I'm looking for personal recommendations, if you can, of something that you maybe have crocheted, or I recommend, or just that you've seen it and you think it looks nice. So thank you for those of you that have already sent in suggestions. I'm going to be showing some of those at a later date. Oh, I do have another purchase to show you though. So I love a charity shop. I always go in and have a look in charity shops, look for clothes, and always look in the knitting section. Oh, so I went into one of my local charity shops, and they had got a whole load of knitting magazines. So I succumbed. They had got, and these are vintage really. They've got a load of interweave knits, which I think is an American one, and these are from 2013. So how many interweave knits were there? 3 or 4, yeah. So that's from 2012, summer 2012, winter 2012, do like that, fall 2013. So I've got 4 interweave knits magazines, and then 4 Knit Today, which are even older. I think These are from like 2000. I swear I saw the year, and that they're like 2008, something like that. I can't see, but I'm sure. So anyway, I've got this one. So this is Knit Today, and that is issue 23, July 2008. This one is March 2008. This one is issue 28, so I'm guessing December 2008, and this is January 2008. So, but you know, actually some of it's just inspiration, some of it is patterns that, you know, you could still make today. Some are patterns that, as I maybe look a little bit dated, but yeah, it's quite interesting. Just looking now. Okay, this is not a good example. I can't find anything in here that I think I would knit. Oh, no, actually. That's quite nice. But anyway, I'll have a proper look through them, see if there's anything. And if not, they can always go back to the charity shop, can't they? Alright, and then Likac news, exciting Likac news. If you follow my Instagram, you'll have seen I have put up just one post about the advent calendar. Follow my Instagram for the next few weeks and you will see more clues coming up for the theme of this year's advent calendar. It is a literature theme again. So last year we had the Nutcracker Ballet, and the year before we had A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So there is a theme, a literature theme for 2023, and I will be revealing that shortly. And there's also some very exciting news of something else that's going to be included for this year's advent calendar as well. So over the next couple of weeks I will be releasing some more clues, revealing the theme, showing you some mood boards, because that is going to go on sale on the 1st of July in my Etsy shop. So if you are interested in knowing more about the advent, just keep an eye open on my Instagram page, and you'll get more information about that. So I am less grumpy, which is great. Having chatted to you guys for 20 minutes or so about my knitting, I'm feeling much happier. Alright, that is it for today. I'm going to try really hard to podcast again in 2 weeks' time, but bear with me. If you don't see me for a few weeks, it is just simply because I'm going to be snowed under with the exam marking. Hopefully that will be finished at the end of June. Hopefully. And hopefully I will be back around by then, but I will try and podcast in a couple of weeks. Alright, thanks everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye.